Good evening, skippers. This is Ram 55 coming back to you with round 11, the final round of the Melges Cup. Today it will be the United States versus Switzerland. United States tops the fleet with 18 points. Switzerland's not too far behind with 14. Spain, Italy, and Australia are tied with 12 points for the final spot heading into the finals. Today's race matches two very even boats. The United States has a very slight edge in spinnakers, and all the other characteristics are even. So let's get ready to get out on the water. You can see that the weather is a little bit brisk. It's cloudy with the winds out of the east at 4-6. Winds are shifty on a flood tide. We'll see how these artificial intelligence boats do on a force 6. We know at force 7 they don't do well. Force 5 they do pretty well. We'll see how things go today. Here's an overhead look at the course. Starting off in the middle, we sail to the south, round the first mark, second mark, and then it'll be a sprint to the finish. Now this is not your typical sailboat course, as the first leg is not to windward. Leg 1 is actually a broad reach or a beam reach. Leg 2 is a spinnaker run to the second mark. Leg 3 is another reach. Leg 4 is a beat to windward, and the last leg, leg 5, is a reach to the finish line. Once again, we're maneuvering pre-race, trying to get my boat into the optimum position for the start. Now these boats are very evenly matched, so I'm going to try really hard, as always, to avoid a foul before the start, because if I have to do a 360-degree turn, there may be no making that up. The Switzerland boat has been pretty good up till now. Getting kind of close here. I need to get out of his way so that we don't get that foul. Now ideally, because we're going to be on a reach on the first leg, I want to be hitting the line with a full head of steam. Ordinarily, I can kind of go parallel to the start-finish line, and then as we get close to the start of the race, I can turn my boat to into the wind, and it's a very easy maneuver. But when we're on a beam reach, you really can't, because right now I'm heading into the wind when I'm trying to parallel the course on this heading. Otherwise, I'd be going the opposite heading, and I'd be completely downwind and going way too fast. So you just got to kind of judge it, when to turn for that start-finish line. Again, this is a very atypical course setup for sailboats. Right now we're down to 15 seconds, and I'm going to make my turn toward the line. And we're just going too fast. It's going to be over early, so I've got to turn away real quick. Lost all my momentum. We're on the legal side, so it's a good start. But I lost a lot of momentum there, but thankfully it looks like the Switzerland boat was kind of luffing right at the line and we're dead in the water. So looks like we're off to a pretty good start. We beat them over the line by about 1 second. So we have a comfortable lead right off the start. We're also on a slightly faster point of sail. The wind is coming from the left side, and I'm going a little bit downwind. You can see that the Switzerland boat is beating a little bit into the wind. That means I've got a better angle to the first mark, so I should be stretching the lead out as we get up to that first buoy. Again, you can see that Rule 12 applies here. Both boats are on a port tack, so boats on the same tack without an overlap. I have to give way to the boat behind. I'm sorry, it's the other way around. The boat behind has to give way to me. So we round that mark pretty nicely, pop the spinnaker. Let's see what our lead is at the first mark. 7.02 seconds. So we'll take that against a well-sailed boat in Switzerland. Now let's see how they do in this wind. Right here, I'm about out of control with the wind at about 26 knots. I am back and forth, nearly capsizing there. And I am struggling to keep this boat on course, and I know, given that situation, the AI boat is going to be having a difficult time too. Now, I looked at this replay from a different angle, and actually the Switzerland boat was almost dead in the water this whole time. You can see them way out there, hardly moving at all. They should be flying right now in this wind with their spinnaker up. They are just basically drifting. So this is where the game gets rather frustrating with these high wind conditions. The AI skippers just don't handle it well. So I'm out of control. They're barely moving. So I'm already rounding the second mark, and they're still approaching it and hardly moving at all. So let's see what kind of lead I have. You can see them. They should be fairly close to my tail. They only had a 7-second lead, and they are just barely moving now toward that second mark. Okay, now they're starting to go. Too late though. So there they have rounded the second mark, and we have turned a 7-second lead into a 1 minute 6-second lead. Again, because of faulty AI not handling these wind conditions for whatever reason. We're rounding the mark, doing pretty well. Now we're going to slog off to windward with a commanding 1 minute 6-second lead, and we should not have to worry about that Swiss boat from here on out, even though they're generally well sailed and they've done well in the regatta so far. It's inconceivable we would lose a 1 minute lead. See the next mark off in the distance there, indicated by that green bobbing arrow. So let's see what our lead is after the third mark. tack to cover them, and it's still about 1:06, so fairly even on that last leg, but still 1:06. There's just no way they're going to make that up. So I cover or tack to cover them. At this point, it's really not necessary. We're so far ahead that no matter what they do, they're not going to catch us. So as long as I sail my boat well, don't make any major mistakes, don't drop a crew over the side and have to go back and pick them up, we should be able to bring this home pretty easily. Now you can see from my heading that I'm not going to be able to fetch that mark on this tack, so I'll have to tack 2 more times. First one to the left to get me over in that direction, the second one back to the right so that I can get around that mark on the left-hand side. We'll have plenty of time to do that. So tacking over to starboard. With a heading of 062, I'm going to be looking at about a 140 heading or so before I tack to be able to get around that mark. So in the course to the next mark gets to 140, time to tack. So there we go. We should be able to make that course now. We'll make that easily. So barring absolute disaster, we should have this race in the bag, and disaster is about to happen. So I round the last mark and I start looking for the finish line. And the skipper, and that would be me, goes into brain freeze and gets completely turned around. I'm looking around for the finish line thinking, it should be over here somewhere. Where is it? I am totally lost and I'm misreading the map. Oh my gosh, where is the finish line? Oh Lord, there it is, way over there in the background. Okay, now we got to drop the spinnaker. Got to wait for the spinnaker to come down before I can start heading that way. And basically, I realized my mistake and I have completely pissed away that huge lead. Now it's a matter of, did I wait too long to find the finish line? Was it too late? So when we rounded that mark, the last mark, I cut the lead down to 1 minute and about 1 second. So they actually took 5 seconds off the lead on that. You can see right now that we are pretty close after my huge blunder. It's going to be a sprint to the finish. On a broad reach, actually a beam reach. It's coming almost directly off the beam. So my only choice right now is to outsail them to the finish line, hoping that my boat speed will be better. But we're pretty darn close right now. I think the Switzerland boat is actually slightly ahead. Again, looking at the rules, Rule 12 applies. 2 boats on the same tack, both on a port tack. So looking at those two green marks that indicate the finish line, I would say the Switzerland boat has the lead. Now within yards of the finish, the inconceivable is about to happen. With a gift win in the bag, the Swiss boat suddenly veers off to the right, pops his spinnaker, and allows me to sail past for the win. Are you kidding me? I am utterly stunned and disappointed with this win. Again, I wish the AI was a little bit smarter. So round 11 winners are New Zealand, France, United States, Great Britain, Australia, and Brazil. Of note, Spain and Italy were tied for that last spot going into the finals, lost their final round, and got eliminated as the New Zealand boat won and takes that fourth spot. I'm sorry, the Australian boat wins, takes that fourth spot. So here's your semifinalists: United States, New Zealand, Switzerland, and Australia. You can see in the background there that United States wins with 20 points, followed by New Zealand with 16, and then Switzerland and Australia tied with 14. Brazil, after a shaky start, ends on a roll with 4 straight wins, and it dashed Spain's bid for the semifinals in the last round. New Zealand ends up with 5 straight wins to secure the second ranking overall, while Australia wins 3 out of the last 4 to make it into the semis. Good show to the Aussies. So when we come back, we'll be bringing you the semifinal rounds that will feature the United States against Australia and New Zealand in Switzerland. And these rounds will be the best of 3. So whoever wins 2 races against their opponent moves on to the finals. So we'll see you back on the water soon. Thanks for watching. Once again, leave comments. Appreciate to hear what you have to say. Subscribe if you find these interesting, and I'll be coming up with different kinds of series as well besides the sailboat racing. So looking forward to talking to you guys soon.